Hello friends, hope everyone's doing well. I had originally intended to make this a fully written, sit-down, edited video like I typically make, but as is tradition on this channel, whenever I talk about anything work-related, I always just whip my phone out and talk for a couple minutes, so that's what this is. And yes, I did move recently, but before you mistake this backdrop for my apartment in Los Angeles, I'm not in Los Angeles. I'm in Denmark. Jacob, why are you in Denmark? Because Blast Studio is in Copenhagen. Because, yeah, I made it back on the NAL. It feels really good to say those words out loud, but it was not an easy journey to get here. I obviously didn't want to be off the North American League back in Stage 1, but it feels like that was just kind of a necessary step to get here. Here, specifically, is just a studio apartment where I'm going to be here for the next month. Yeah, because the NAL is 5 weeks long and they didn't want to worry about doing fly back and forth from location to home like we did for when the NAL was in Los Angeles last year. Now it's just stay in Copenhagen for a month, do all 5 weeks back to back, and this is the setup. If you want to see it, I can just show you a little bit. Appreciate Blast for providing the secret labs, and I had to concoct the desk / stream setup myself. The laptop is mine, all the equipment is mine. This is going to be interesting to see if it works on stream. It should. It looks pretty decent on cam, which, by the way, by the time you're watching this video, I will probably have started a little bit of an update stream from Denmark, so twitch.tv/CaliberJacob if you'd like to see that. Bed's not terrible. Got a couch. It's pretty open. I'm watching ESL Pro League for Counter-Strike up right now. They even gave us laptops. Here, look, you see this? They gave us laptops. Thank you, Blast. Suck it, European League. I'm just kidding. So it's not a terrible setup, honestly, for the next month. It'll be interesting to see how long I survive without cracking or just being in Europe for that long, because the longest time I've ever spent out of the country has been about 17 days, and when this trip is all said and done, it will be about 34. That's a little nuts in and of itself. Not something I think I'd ever really be contending with or ever really doing at any point in my life, so I'm happy that I get the opportunity to do it. Be in Europe for a month and talk about video games. That sounds crazy cool. But there's a couple of things to talk about. The first of which is the fact that there's another host for the NAL, and there's obviously been a little bit of turnover for it over the past little while. Whether it was Jackie, who started the North American League, or Veli, who came in right after, or Doa. Now it's me. And I feel like it's not that they're tough acts to follow. I don't want to put it that way. They're really, really good at what they do, and I appreciate the time I've been able to spend learning a lot of what their processes are like and kind of how they run shows and things like that. But the big thing that I learned from hosting Brazil in Stage 1 was that it feels like a much more natural use of my skill set, which is fantastic. It feels a little bit more like I'm able to tap into some storytelling and some presenting ideologies and methods that as an analyst I typically wouldn't have the space to do. And it feels like the amount of insight that I'm able to provide works a little bit better in short bursts as a host than it does for the specialties that are brought about by analysts, which is why the desk looks a lot different for this stage of the NAL. It's Jesse, obviously, because Jesse's arguably the best analyst that we have in Siege who didn't do anything competitively prior to being in broadcast, if that makes sense. Like, he's on a whole other level with the stats and the storylines he's able to produce. And we also have Laxing on the desk with us. The 19-time LAN attendee, the former Xbox hammer lifter. Laxing is on the North American League desk with Jesse and myself for the full 5 weeks. It's the same 5 weeks with all three of us consistently. And I think there's going to be a really good balance between Jesse, an ex-pro, and me, and I feel like I can really ask the right questions and touch on the storylines that I want to touch on. It's going to be the same product, the same North American product that you're used to. It's just going to be a little bit of a different energy. So I'm looking forward to the challenge. I think it'll be really cool to see what kind of spin we can put on the show where we haven't typically done that. So I hope you'll join us. If you have any feedback about how we do over the next couple of weeks, I'm very open to listening to it. I really, really appreciate and have a lot of love for the people who were in that role before me, and I hope that I'm able to do it justice and that you enjoy the differences that are about to come on the show at this point. The second thing is that there's been a lot of talent turnover, and look, I can't really speak to the reasons for why so much stuff this stage is different. I think the big thing for me was understanding that I got this opportunity and I want to do what I can to make the most of it. But there are some people that I really wish could have been on this talent roster with us at the same time. And the fact that they're not does kind of suck. But the people who are on this lineup for stage 2, I think are going to make the show really, really cool. For one, Stokes is back. He wasn't in for stage 1, so it's nice to see him back. The fact that Lynx is still getting opportunities is fantastic, and he's being joined by Jays Wills, who was on the North American League for a couple of fill-in days last year, but now he's getting a couple more dates, which is phenomenal. And the big one that a lot of you are probably like, what the fuck is Flynn? I don't know who lifted Flynn's blacklist, but homie's no longer blacklisted. Yeah, he's back. Your eyes don't deceive you. Check the talent roster. His ass is there. So, everyone on this team, I think, is really going to pull out all the stops. I have a lot of love and appreciation for everybody who's included, kind of irregardless of the role. Regardless of the role. Irregardless is, yeah, don't say that. So I think the stage itself is overall going to be really, really interesting. I think the death dynamic is going to be great with just the combination of elements that we're all throwing together. And we got to do 5 straight weeks of this because that's what the schedule demands. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to be here for a little while, sorting things out. It kind of goes without saying that I'm not going to be posting necessarily regular content, especially not to YouTube in that time, but I am going to be streaming. So the first thing you need to do, if you're not following the Twitch channel, go ahead and do that. My plan currently, because I have a full setup over there, is to do 1 post-NAL week stream. So the day after North American League games are done for the week, which is predominantly Wednesday, Thursday. So on Friday, we'll do some sort of like brief recap stream, kind of going over everything for the course of said week. That's kind of the plan that I have for the moment. The second thing you need to do, go follow my Instagram. It's changed handle recently. It's at Jacob Anderson, but I've had to alter my last name because just at Jacob Anderson on Instagram wasn't available. So go follow that because I'll be posting some story content and some other behind the scenes stuff that probably won't get the same notice here or on Twitter. And then also make sure you're following on Twitter so that you get those additional updates when they come in too. So yeah, I've been here for a couple of days already. I think I've been here since Thursday, which means I technically have about 31 days left. So a full month left before this whole thing wraps up. But we got rehearsals in a couple of days. We're going to see what we can't do to make this a really, really good stage of the NAL under blast because it was a bit rushed in stage 1. Hopefully the product is something that we can improve on a lot more. I really, really care about getting this off the ground, making a good first impression with you guys, and so are the people who are coming on the stage who haven't really been on broadcast very frequently or at all recently. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's really, really going to be a lot of fun. So I appreciate everybody who was standing by me as I was trying to make the hosting transition. I hope to not let you down. You know what? I'm not going to let you down. It's going to be fun. And I feel like I'm going to have the ability to thrive in this role more than I did with what I was doing previously. I feel like there's a higher ceiling, and I definitely feel like there's a lot more that I can do with it. So as far as you and I are concerned, we're just getting started. Thank you very much for your support and your encouragement, and I will see you when the North American League returns on September the 6th. Thank you. Love you. Peace!